Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, I've got that.
Fantastic. So let's begin. So what I'll do is I'll take you very quickly. No one likes to hear someone just read out slides, so I won't dwell on that too much. But I'll just whiz you through sort of 10 slides or so, which is what we kind of how we can sort of introduce it to new clients or staff or even students and sometimes just to sort of give it a bit of an introduction, and then I'll log in as a student so you can see the type of content a student can create,
Yeah, brilliant.
how it works, how they can add work to it either through the app or on the desktop or on the laptop or whatever. And then I'll log in as a member of staff at a college so you can see what it looks like from your perspective and how you can find students and set them tasks and badges and things like that. So, as we were just talking about just a moment ago, then I suppose we sort of class ourselves as the data management system from a college perspective that can help colleges, schools, and colleges evidence that everything they're doing as part of enrichment, any sort of enterprise activities, any extracurricular activities, and also all the pastoral things. So, what we've found over the last few months is that lots of colleges, even though it wasn't necessarily designed to do this, or not designed to do, but we didn't think about it initially, is that loads of colleges have used the badging system that we've created to replicate their pastoral program. So everything that when they do lessons on British values, prevent STIs, anything they would do in pastoral, they would create a badge and a task associated to that, and then students have to activate and earn the badge through submitting some sort of evidence to prove A, participation in those lessons, and B, obviously some reflection that they've actually learned, and it's actually created some value add as a result of them taking part in that lesson. And it's just another vehicle with which to get students to use it and record data. Obviously, the more data students record, the more data that you've got to evidence when Ofsted can call and say that actually this is how we're meeting the Gatsby benchmarks and this is how we're meeting the Ofsted criteria for our teaching and learning and assessment strategy, things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, significance data. So, schools and colleges can currently measure academic progress through their current MIS systems quite easily, and that's obviously something that people have got down pat, as it were. But the enrichment, employability, pastoral stuff we found is much harder to evidence or to prove in simple data, which is what we've tried to set about trying to help schools and colleges really. So, everything they put into their profile, we can then export and give you spreadsheets, analytics, and information as to how they're progressing on their profile. So when students are recording some skills and evidencing it through a badge, we mark the badges. So for them to actually earn the badge and earn some points on their profile, we have to have quality assured it. So they can't just click on loads of badges and earn them and then get some employability points, as it were. They have to have submitted the evidence based on the criteria set by us or by you, and then we'll mark them ourselves, and then we'll give them feedback if they've not done well enough, or we'll award the badge and then provide you with the statistics if they have done that.
Okay.
Do you currently have an MIS system?
We use SchoolPod.
SchoolPod, okay. The examples I've shown here are more based around what colleges tend to use, which is whether it's eTracker or ProMonitor or their own sort of internal system. Basically, any data management system, we will look to export the data that we provide, and we'll work with your data manager to either create a system or an API whereby we can then export that data automatically into your system so that it's not, again, duplication for staff having to enter in information on Kloodle, as well as your other systems. We want to try and take that burden away from staff so they can concentrate on good, positive T&L and their good lessons, really, so that we're handling all that and can make it nice and simple for them.
Okay, that's good.
So the workflow is, as you can see there, so what we tend to do at the start, we need sit down with members of staff, whether it's senior management or people like yourself, head of year 12, and then we'll outline and create a badge suite or a program that fits in with what you're already doing. So it's not a case of, right, we're going to get staff around the table and say, now you've got to do all other stuff to meet these Gatsby benchmarks and all this and everything else. We're trying to replicate all the things that your school or college does excellently already, and then create the badge suite and create the system by which we can evidence that effectively to Ofsted. We've also got like a bronze, silver, gold system, which is actually, I know you mentioned Farnborough before, actually, and they kind of gave us the inspiration for this with those certificates. So, for instance, we can set like a benchmark. So there might be 8 different activities you want students to achieve the bronze, which you know that if every student has got the bronze, we know we're satisfying Ofsted criteria. So it might be a case of you've attended X amount of tutorials for prevent British values and so on. You've done some work. You've done 20 hours of work experience. You've recorded some volunteering. You've attended a careers interview. You've done your one-to-one with your tutor. You can set the criteria basically. When students have ticked off all these examples, we can award them the bronze. And then if you go beyond that, then obviously the silver and gold. The gold or platinum, that could be employer engagement. So if students in the second year, maybe in year 13 or whenever, if they're thinking about actually communicating and working with employers, then they might be that might be what gives them the gold or even further. But again, it's just a simple few then, so you can just go on your stats and go, right, 300 students have achieved bronze this month. That's fantastic. We know that 300 students have done all those 8 activities. I don't have to drill down. If you want to drill down to the profiles, it's easy to do so, and you can look at the examples and get a buzz out of how good the students are recording all the activities. But if you just need to see the simple data, you can go, right, 300 students, they've all achieved bronze. We know that they've all done all those at 8 points. So it's kind of a nice, simple way of doing it. Obviously, there's a free app for students, so they can basically utilise that when they're on the go. So if they're on placements, if they're doing work experience, volunteering, rather than having to think about it when they go back into school or college, and try and reflect upon things they've learned and skills they've developed. If they got the phone out at the time, they're recording it, whether it's a video, whether it's a photo, whether it's uploading a document that they've got on the phone, then they can tag the relevant employability skill as and when it happens. So and I'll show you how that works as well when we log in as a student. And I mentioned going further, maybe beyond the bronze and silver awards, whereby students are actually engaging with employer badges. They're badges that we'll be setting up at every school and college. So there'll be national badges that we're working with employers. So Specsavers, you'll see at the top one there. So they've been using us to try and source students in Kidderminster, Nottingham and Southampton around Fareham over the last month. So we've been going into the schools and colleges that we currently work with. So all the students who are leaving this year said, this is an apprenticeship opportunity for Specsavers. They're looking for students with these skills, and if you want to apply using your profile, you can do so this way. Or students can log in and they can look at the different opportunities that are being posted nationally or locally that we've got on there, and they can sort of engage with those employers. You, as your careers team, can also post opportunities to students, which is obviously going to be probably more effective than us, because obviously we're working nationally, so there might not be loads of opportunities for every single region that we've got colleges in. However, your careers team can post badges and opportunities on behalf of employers that you've already got links with. So, so you can use this as your job board almost, and manage candidates that way. Obviously, the biggest question or biggest eyebrows that get raised during staff trainings, and so what's required of us then? So how much more work do we have to do?
What do we have to do?
And it sounds like a simple cop out. However, the enthusiasm is really the main thing that the main requirement. We don't require staff to keep creating tasks and badges. If they want to, that's fantastic, but we will manage that. We don't require staff to mark the badges and give feedback to students. We'll handle all that. What we do need is regular reinforcement and enthusiasm from staff, because students are inherently terrible at recognising the significance of creating an employability profile whilst they're in education. Obviously, when they've left school and college and they want to apply for jobs and they realise they've got an empty CV, that's when they'd come knocking on your door and probably spend a lot of time with you working on the profile. But we want to get students to record this gradually over time, so that when they're ready to apply for something, or when they're ready to leave, or when they're ready to go to university or apply for apprenticeship, they've already got this bank, this resource of really rich examples of evidence, basically their record of achievement of everything they should be proud of and everything they should be shouting about.
Yeah, that's good.
And I suppose if you use it through the badging system, then it's almost like you're tricking the students into creating a good profile, because you're just getting them to complete a task and earn a badge. And then you're just getting them to complete a task and earn another badge. And then you're just getting them to complete a task and earn yet another badge. And all of a sudden they've got a really full profile that's really exciting to an employer. And I think that's sort of the vehicle that we try and use to get students to create excellent profiles. A couple of quotes there. I'll send you this presentation as well. Obviously I'm recording this, but I'll send you this PowerPoints that you've got.
Brilliant, thank you.
And then at the end, I'm not going to go through all this information. This is quite dense material, so it's all how we help satisfy Ofsted criteria and how we help support the college and college satisfying Gatsby benchmarks.
Yeah, that's the key thing at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had a few people. I've spoke to South Wilts Grammar School this morning, who's trying to sort of ramp up their Gatsby benchmark offering to when inspectors come in and things like that. So I'll send you all that now. What I said we would do is look at a student profile. So let me do that.
Cool.
Can you still see the screen? Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, brilliant.
Just stop me, by the way, if there's any questions that pop up into your head as we're going through, because I'll whiz through this quite quickly. There's a lot of information to go through, but I'm now I'm logging in as this student now, Sasha. And what I'll do is I'll take you through her profile, and then I'll log in as a college, and you can see how that looks from a teacher's perspective.
Okay.
When the student is logged in, so this student's logged in now, this is the main options they'll see on their screen. So they can either pad out their profile, build the basic profiles, they can complete skill badges, and there's a whole suite of lesson resources and skill badges that are relating to these. So if I click on the skill badges, there's professional behaviours, teamwork skills, written communication, verbal communication, and so on.
Yeah.
And if the student wants to activate these, I mean, I've already in other demos activated a lot of these, so let's see if there's any that haven't been activated yet. Nope. But if they were to click on any one of these, initiatives and self-motivation skill week, for instance, then it gives the student a task of what they're required to do to achieve the badge. They'd activate it, they'd click add work, and then they can upload evidence in the form of blogs, photos, videos and documents to provide evidence for that. When they're happy with it, they can click submit, and then we would get a list of all the students who've submitted badges on a daily and weekly basis, and we try to guarantee that most badges will be marked within 7 days. So,
okay, yeah.
And obviously all the analytics and information statistics on which badges have been activated, earned and or returned can be found in your admin panel when you're logged in as staff as well.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so let's go back to home. Student. So again, there's build profile basics, record your skills, record experiences, so that could be recording work experience, volunteering, enrichment, or just upload some content to your profile. Your news feed is any employees that you might follow, or any badges that you might follow. Oh, I can hear an echo.
Say that again?
So any badges that you've, any employers that you've followed, or any employer activity that is relevant for you that would appear in your news feed, anything that you're posting would appear in your news feed. Students won't see other students' work in their news feed. So that's a feature that's been disabled for quite a while now. So we found that there was no benefit for students to see other students' profiles and work whatsoever. In fact, it was inhibiting some there was a distraction element, but there was also, I think, students were slightly reluctant to post everything that they were really proud of, knowing that their peers were maybe watching over their shoulder. So this is just their record of achievement, that they can post anything that they think is relevant for them. The only people that will see their profile is a member of staff or an employer, and what that does is it sort of negates any sort of messing around that students generally don't misuse their profile, because the only people that will see it are those two stakeholders, really.
Yeah.
Right, let's go to student profile.
Okay.
So the student profile is split up into these sections. You can see hopefully at the top. So you've got a timeline of everything that she's posted, bio, education, employment, achievements. So the first few sections are very much like a traditional CV. All the sections that you might see in something that you want to share with an employer. After that, you're talking about all the dynamic content, so everything that you might want to upload as evidence of your skills. So blogs, photos, videos, documents. They can put their personal statements, badges they're currently working on, their work experience folder, enrichment folders, and skills and progression. So if the student wants to add some new content, then she can select blog, for instance, give it a title, talk about what they've been learning, and then add the skills at the bottom. When they're happy with it, they can click publish. Let's just go back a touch. So once they've been tagging skills, the relevant skills that pop up on their profile, then you can see areas of strengths and weaknesses on the student profile. So we can see that she's got 14 examples of creativity, 5 examples for decision making, and so on. And if I was to click on any one of these skill tags now, so creativity, for example, and it'll take me to all the examples of creativity in her profile. So she's done a couple of work experience blogs whilst she's a graphic design agency, and then she's obviously part of a theatre company as well. If we go to photos and click view, I can see the photos that she's uploaded as part of that brief.
Okay. And how does so for example, so that student wants to record her skills through a blog or whatever it is. How do they know what skills they're looking for, and how much to write and kind of what to?
There is, we've got tutorials for students as well. So when students are uploading, whether it's to their bio or education or employment or blogs, there is a tutorial that takes students through how to create a good bio, how to write a good blog, what kind of skills to tag. So if the students click on help, then there is example bios or example blogs or example achievements. And then we can work through a tutorial that says, like, this is what to write in a bio, this is what to start with, this is what tone to use, this is what to avoid, here's good examples of things. The other element of support that we offer to all students is this little 24/7 chat icon down here. You can see the green icon at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Click on that, then they can ask us a question at any time, and it is 24/7. Students do use it quite a lot. And they can ask. There is some previously saved answers as well, or they can just start a new conversation and say, "Oh, I'm not quite sure what to put for this. Can you help me?" And then whoever's online at the time will be able to ask them a few questions. Maybe send them a tutorial or help them.
Yeah.
So let's go through. So education, pretty straightforward. Employment, they can record all their current and previous paid work. You obviously get a copy of all this, so when the college wants to know which students have, if you want to get a spreadsheet, a database of where all the students have been recording their paid work, you can access that instantly. Same for achievements. And then blogs, pretty straightforward. Photos.
Yeah.
Videos, documents. They can house their personal statements there if they wanted to create different drafts there, and then the teacher can log in and read the drafts and comment on them. If you don't want to collect loads of paper statements, students can do it all here, and then the teacher can log in remotely and have a check and comment. And you can see the badges that they're currently working on. So she's earned different work experience badges here, and she's also done her skills audit and achievements badge. And if you want to click on the badges, it'll tell you, it should bring you to the evidence the students have submitted, if they've submitted any evidence to earn that badge.
Okay.
Let's see. So, rainbows. Yeah, so this is her reflection when she was at Rainbows.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So they can add more work or employer information at that point. And again, you can do all this on the phone. So basically the app just looks like that.
Yeah.
So it's all the same features are there for the app.
Brilliant. Okay.
Employee badges. So she's not done any employee badges skills. So now, if this student's interested in those employee badges that we saw in that presentation earlier, then she can go on the left-hand side, employee badges, and all the different employee badges that either been posted by us or by her particular college will appear here. So if she's interested in Specsavers, or if she's interested in the JD Sports Financial Apprenticeship badge, she can click on that, and then in that, JD Sports is basically set her a bit of a task. So they've identified skills that they think are important, like numeracy, teamwork, commercial awareness, and then set her a task to upload a spreadsheet with an example budget you've created, write about the importance of communication as a team, and so on. And the student can add work, upload the evidence that she's done as part of that task, click submit, and then we'll get a list of all the students who've clicked submit, and then any excellent candidates, any excellent examples, and we or you can forward them to that employer.
Okay, that's good.
And again, that's kind of a really good employer engagement on the Gatsby.
And do you think there are? You mentioned that Specsavers was like targeting Southampton, but we are in a funny little pocket of the country in the depths of Wiltshire.
Well, it's up to, they're not bothered. They're just the roles that they had are in Fareham. So it's just if the students are prepared to travel there, then they're not bothered. They just that they
not bothered.
they've got
okay, and something like that would come up. So what's the kind of like radius? Because you mentioned that the employer badges, I suppose they would be kind of linked to location, would they?
It depends how they've come about getting on the site. So, for instance, the Specsavers ones, we're working with them, and they specifically said for this. I mean, there'll be a longer term program that Specsavers want to engage with school outreach and college students over the course of the next year. So to build a pipeline of students when they're next ready to apply. But in the short term, they had apprenticeship roles to fill in Fareham, Nottingham and Kidderminster. So if you think you had some students who are leaving this year who would be interested in the Fareham one and they would be happy to travel in, then by all means I can forward you the information. You can send them on to any students that you know who have left this year who might be interested.
Yeah, I've got you.
But again, it's more a case of if you've got your careers team who've got lots of opportunities, then they can use this to post it to them and then manage the candidates as well.
That's really useful because we kind of put everything all in one place. Or if there was this distinction between, like for example, what we do in our PSHE.
So if the careers team want to post opportunities, then the students can just go to the opportunities section at the top. Yeah. And then any opportunities posted by the college would just be sitting here, and then they can apply. They can apply or engage with it as they see fit. We also get students to complete the My Future section, which again is information that we pass on to that you've got access to basically. So students can describe what their goal aspiration is, what the requirements are, what the next action they should take, and then what destination pathways they're interested in. So that can be important information that the school or college want to record.
Yeah.
So we get students as part to do that. So let me now log in as the staff.
Thank you.
So I'm now logged in as a college. So you can see from the home screen, you can see if you're a member of staff, you'll see your news feeds populated with all the things that students have been putting on most recently. So you can scroll down and see anything that students have been posting to earn their badges or earn their certificates. So it's just like a general news feed. If I click on admin that's on the left hand side, then this is where I can filter all the students by all the different filter options that are on the left hand side. So which year they're in. So obviously students will keep their profile indefinitely. So if they've left, but you want to look at last year's students and you want to see what they've been doing or if they've been updating their profiles, then you can go to a particular year of students. Tags are really important. So tags are the what we use when we first set up schools and colleges. So the tags are really important when you want to try and extrapolate data for Ofsted, because you'll want to see which students, not just every student, and obviously you can extrapolate the information from every student in a spreadsheet, but you might want to know that which subject areas are performing better, which tutor groups have actually developed their skills greater based on the different tutorials, all that sort of stuff. And tags are basically just what we use to do that. So anything that you might want to filter students by, whether it's course code, year group, whether it's the subject areas, whether it's levels, level of students, then we need to set them up as tags at the beginning so that you can filter them that way. And then you can select all the different badges then as well, so you can say, right, how many students have done their work experience badge, and it'll quickly filter. You can go across as 209 students who've done all their work experience badges. You can see how many hours they've uploaded as evidence. You can see how many badges acted, how many work content created. And then if you wanted to click on any one of these students, you can then look at their profile as a summary. What their main goal is, have they completed different parts of the profile, the skills they've tagged, the badges they've earned, and then if you want to view their profile,
you can see the whole lot.
Let's go back to admin. Now, the resources I mentioned before can be found here as well. So if you go to admin and then go to resources, and these are the teaching resources. So this is how we can, when we mentioned the gaps of benchmarks before, the most fundamental aspect of the gaps of benchmarks is how to embed employability within a curriculum. I think that's the biggest transformation it's trying to grasp, from changing schools and colleges who use skill weeks or careers days, or things that happen intermittently through the year, and how you can actually transform that and embed it into something that students think is just as fundamental as their academic qualification. And this is what we've tried to create to facilitate that, basically. So we've got a suggested calendar of events here. Can I rotate that? That's really annoying if I can't. Let me. Bear with me one moment.
That's all right.
Here we go. So we can see this is like a year at a glance for any school or college. So we've got a series of tutorials and lesson plans in the first month. So we've sort of broken it up into, this is what you can kind of do month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And then once every 6 weeks, we've devised what we call skill weeks, where everybody across the school or college will do the same thing for one lesson in that week, and it can be, and that's the sort of how to try and really embed it within a curriculum environment, so students are realising that actually these transferable skills, it's not just when my careers teacher's talking about, it's not when this employer's coming to do a talk, it's actually fundamental to all the lessons and the subjects that I'm studying, whether it's maths, science, English, whatever it is, that these transferable skills are inherently embedded in these subjects anyway. So we've got a series of lesson plans and activities that teachers can take off the shelf and use in that lesson that 1 week. So it might be in that 1 week in October, that around the school or colleges, on all the monitors, on the PCs and students log in, they're reminded that this is problem solving week, or this is teamwork week. So every teacher will have to bring one plenary round in that lesson that week, and it can be any time that week. So the teacher can do it at different times, but they bring it round and reinforce the message that actually today you've been working on your teamwork, or today you've been working on this, and you must go away and earn your teamwork badge. So every week, so you know that once every 6 weeks, students will be getting a core base of badges that they're earning, because everyone in the college or school will be earning that teamwork skill badge. Somehow.
Okay.
And I'll show you the examples of work that involves. So let's go to the skill badges. So for instance, if it was skill week, creativity, or initiative and self-motivation, these are different activities that teachers can pick off the shelf and then get students to then reflect upon that activity and say, right, this is a great example of initiative and self-motivation, now earn that, but now activate that badge and evidence some of the work that we've done in today's lesson. Simple.
Okay. All right.
The lesson plans for the rest of the badges, whether it's skills audit, for instance, they look like this. So they're generally between 30 minutes and 50 minutes, and the teacher can just pick these off the shelf and find out, actually, I quite like that task, or quite like this one, I'll use that. And then at the end, obviously, there's a directive for students to then go away and earn the skills audit badge. And, that's the kind of the routine. So teachers deliver what they would be delivering anyway, bring the plenary around to a particular skill activity, and then get the students to activate the badge that's reflective of that activity they've done in the lesson.
Okay. So there's quite a few different kind of options for staff to choose as well. So there's something for everyone from that example you showed.
There is. The one thing I would say is that it works better when there's a clear directive from senior management, though. When you give staff loads of different options, that's when it can be kind of patchy. So it might be that you just want to focus on one particular feature, or one particular outcome. But as long as everyone does the same, I think that's when it works really well.
And saying all students must do.
It might be that you just want all students to record the skills they've developed through the pastoral program initially in year 1, and then in year 2 it might be the fact that they want to then go further and use it for more work experience, employer engagement, and that sort of stuff. But when there's a consistent message across the board, that's when it works much better for students. Then you know what they're like. As soon as one class is doing something the other class isn't doing, then it's almost like, well, that's carte blanche for me not to do it as well, then, kind of thing. So
yeah, exactly. And I think students will, the easy fit, it will for staff as well. If they fancy an easier route, and if that means that so and so's not doing something, or we're not doing that in our class, how are you doing that in yours? Then it's it gives scope for just not.
I'll quickly show the analytics section. So again, on the left hand side, underneath admin, there's an analytics button. So click on that. It shows you all the students that are registered.
Brilliant. Analytics.
Actually, I'm on the wrong. Let's go here. So analytics. So it shows you all the students that are registered. Let's just maximise this page. You can select the year group that you want to look at, or the tag that you want to look at. So if it might just be a different tutor group, and then just those students would then appear in this.
Okay.
Oops, didn't mean to press back then. So you can see how many bios have been posted, how many achievements have been recorded, how many pathways have been recorded, and how many goals have been recorded. And then underneath that you can see the work-related engagement. So you can see how many hours, so 32,000 hours of work experience have been recorded there. Employment, enrichment and volunteering.
Brilliant.
And then you can see the different badges that have been earned, and then the average Kloodle score.
I mean, as well as being the head of Year 12, I am an art and photography teacher. So anything that looks like beautifully presented, for me, I think is always a bit of a winner for staff as well. So it's just easy to navigate. You know that it's not difficult finding your students. It's not difficult to find what skills that they've achieved, what badges they've done, what work experience. It's just a really simple for staff as well. Because I will be asking staff or their progress tutors to monitor it. And so they need to be able to navigate it.
I mean everything that staff will ever need to do is through the admin panel. So as soon as they click admin, and then they just simply go to tags, and they go to they type in their own tutor group, for instance, and they can also create other tags. So if they want to create a tag that has multiple groups in, that just has their, say one tutor is responsible for 60 students, and she wants to see that at once, then she can create that tag any time. So if she knows that these students she wants to create a new tag, then she can select them, create a new tag, or she can message just those students if she wanted to. So if those 4 students or 3 students, she can message them, or she can set them a task. There's all sorts of things, but everything's accessible through the admin panel. And then if they click on badges at the top, then this is where they can see the stats on badges. So if they want to see how many students have been working on the bio badges, blogging badges, digital media badge, and so on. Now, if you as a member of staff wanted to create your own task, or an event, for instance. So the most common examples for teachers creating badges is for events, but it's something that we say we will happily do for you if it's one less burden. But if staff if there's maybe a careers team or an employer engagement team where they want to create an event badge, then they go to badges at the top here, then create badge, and then they can create a badge here. So they can give it a title. So it might be you invite an employer to come in to do a talk. So let's think of, or it could be that you're going on a trip, an enrichment exercise. You might want to go to the Royal Academy of Arts or something like that, and then describe what the student's going to do as part of that activity in this section here. Select the type, so it's going to be an event badge, and select an icon, so you can upload your own image icon. So you might want the Royal Academy of Arts icon there. So then this is the badge that will be displayed on the student's profile once they've earned it. Select how many hours that particular activity is representative of, so it could be 2 hours, and the deadline for it. Now, when staff have created that badge, then if I go back to the student profile. Then at the top of her page, as a student, and she'll see an option that says events.
Yeah.
Just click on events. Any events that you've created for your students will appear in this section here then. So they can go, right, KPMG employed talk, brilliant, I'm going to activate that. And then you as a teacher gets a list of all the students who've activated the badge. So you've got a list of students who are interested in the event. And then once students have actually participated in it, so you've taken a register or whatever you might set a task, say I want you to blog about it afterwards, or upload some photos of you actually being there. And then once they've done that, then you can award the badge to the students, and it's on the profile as evidence then.
Okay.
So it's good. It's good for enrichment. So when you have like a lot of colleges and schools have enrichment weeks where everyone's going on different trips and stuff like that, so you can create a series of different enrichment events, and then set the students. If the students want to be on that event, they need to activate it. So you get a list of all the students who are interested to come on your trip, and then as part of the task, you might say, "Right, I want you to blog about it. I want you to take a photo of what you've learned." Or something like that, and then for the students who've done it, and they'll be awarded the badge, and that'll sit on the profile for an employer to see. The one thing I've forgotten to show you actually is if this is Natasha's profile, she can share this profile with an employer if she wants to. So she can do that by clicking on share link. So every student gets their own unique URL. So that if she wants to share this link on an application form, she can simply do that, and then whoever clicks on the link will be able to see just her profile, no one else in the school. They won't be able to search for anything, but they'll be able to see her profile as it stands. Or if they wanted to, they can click print CV, and it formats the profile into a quick look CV that they can print off.
Oh, okay, clever.
Or if there's elements they want to hide, so like, I don't want them knowing about prefect, hide that. Or something like that.
They can just get rid of that, so they could tailor it perhaps maybe to whatever it is that they're wanting to apply for.
Yeah.
All right.
That's pretty much everything, I think.
Is there a way that I can pretend to be a student and have a go on the app?
Yeah, you can have a free 3-week trial if you want to.
Would that be all right?
Of course. Yep.
I don't think I'd be able to get any. I might be able to get some students to try it. So say it's like really kind of bitty end of year, like not.
It's nightmare, isn't it? I mean,
what things going on? Yeah.
What I can create you a domain.
Yeah.
And then you can have the school college login for staff, and then you can create your own. If you register as a student, then you can then you'd be a student in there and play about with it as a student if you wanted to.
Yeah, it would be really useful.
Cool. So is it Salisbury sixth form?
Yes.
All right. So I'll create a domain later on today, and then I'll send you the login details.
Oh, that would be brilliant. Yeah, I can just pretend to be a student and have a little look from their point of view.
Yeah.
And then that would be really, really useful. And then costs. Is that right? It's about £3 per student.
Yeah, that's it. It's £3 per student. But that there's no setup cost. There's no cost for training.
So, and you don't have to have a certain amount of students, not like a fixed number, and then it's
no.
Okay. All right. Well, I need to get Rosie to have a little look at this as well. And she's in the middle of. Yeah, she did. She was actually very excited that you could actually record this because.
Yeah, no, I've
induction day.
Yeah, it's still recording. So as soon as we're off the call, I'll upload it to YouTube and send you the link.
Amazing. Oh, that's very handy. Thank you. And I'll have a little go at that. And then I suppose there will be an element of us having, if we were to sign up, we need to work with you to work out what badges we.
Absolutely, yeah. So that is part of the setup is us to sit down with you guys, with senior management, and work out. Basically, we need to speak to the data manager normally to find out how they'd want data exported into their system. We need to sit down with director of curriculum, for instance, to find out what badges we want to create for the badge suite, and the head of pastoral, which is you, to find out what you want to do for that. I mean, if you there's someone who is in charge of the enrichment side of things as well, that'd be great. But again, there's something we can work towards. There's nothing that we can't create ad hoc throughout the year anyway. So
okay, so it will need to be done before September. Otherwise, that's
the only thing that will need to be done is we pre-create student accounts. So once students have enrolled, then we need a date. We need a spreadsheet of the student information, which is their email address, their unique learner number, and the tags. That's the only information we need before we can get going. Everything else can be done as we go.
Cool. Okay, that sounds good. All right. Let me probably me and Rosie might be able to look at it at some point this week, and then maybe if I can get back in touch with you.
Well, yeah, I'll check in on Friday.
Brilliant. Okay.
And I'll see how you're getting on with
let's
with the
do
demo
that.
account.
Oh, that would be amazing. Brilliant.
Excellent.
That's great. Thank you for your time, Andrew. That was really useful.
No problem at all. It'll probably take about half an hour to upload this to YouTube, but once it's done, I'll send you the link.
Yeah, that's fine. That's brilliant. Okay, that's great. I look forward to having a little play with it.
Excellent. All right. Speak soon.
All
Cheers,
right,
Sophie.
Thank you.